Hi, this is Melanie for the Pardesi channel. I'm here to do a review of the Malayalam adventure story Kayamkulam Kochunni, starring Nivin Pauly and Mohanlal. Before I saw the trailer for this film, I didn't know that it was based on a real person, which all of you commenters let me know. Kochunni is a legendary figure from the early part of the 19th century in Kerala. He was a real-life bandit thief who literally was like Robin Hood in stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. There's a shrine to him, which is shown at the end of the film, in Kerala. I think there were a series of comic books or children's books or something based on his adventures and his life. And this film definitely has sort of that simplistic black or white kind of storytelling. And I think Niven Pauly was the perfect person to play this character because we're seeing him from his origins as a child living in poverty and seeing all this injustice and all the things that he goes through as he grows up. And you have that Niven Pauly innocence that shines through in his face. And then a series of things happen to him that harden him into the bandit that he becomes. And Niven Pauly can go through that kind of transformation. To me, I was fascinated just watching this whole story, which obviously is legendary. I have no way of knowing if they took liberties with the story. You guys can tell me if they changed anything from what we know of the real person, if they took liberties or what. I mean, it seems like even if half of what was shown is true, it's quite a legendary life. Okay, so the interesting thing about this film is that it's written by a writing team called Bobby and Sanjay, and they've written several films that I've enjoyed. And also the director is Roshan Andrews, who did Mumbai Police, which is one of my favorite Malayalam films. It's so good and such a great script. And he also did How Old Are You, which was a very touching film with Manju Warrior. Exciting to see another film by this team, and I did enjoy most of the script. A little bit more about that at the very end in the spoiler section where I had some questions. So I thought Nivin Pauly was quite good. It is a rip-roaring story. It had some really exciting action sequences, and Mohanlal's entrance right before the interval point, amazing. I thought it was going to be a very limited cameo, and it was actually a longer period of time in the movie than I expected. And I enjoyed every moment that Mohanlal was on screen because this is one of the first times seeing him before Odeon with his trim figure and being so physical. Let me just tell you, the fight sequences with Mohanlal, he's showing the younger kids how it's done. Okay? I mean, I don't know if he was doing wire work or what he was doing, but his kicks, his action sequences, amazing. Nivin Pauly basically goes through two periods of sort of training. One with Mohanlal, and there's an earlier section. I'm gonna misremember the name, but he learns some sort of ancient martial arts kind of discipline, and that was fascinating to me. All that he was learning, and that I was never bored in the first half with all this setup, and then the second half it gets really adventurous when he starts all his escapades, and the climax of the film is really amazing. So just an amazing set piece action, everything that happens, and the finale of the film was incredible. So most of the action scenes were quite good. Some of them, I could see that they had sped up the film, and it was a little obvious that they had sped up the film, like if horses were running or whatever, and it's like that doesn't look exactly right. And there was a disclaimer at the beginning that all the animals were CGI, or most of the animals were CGI. And so occasionally there was an animal that was like, okay, that looks a little off because I can tell that it's digital. It wasn't quite seamless. But this is evidently the most expensive, highest budget Malayalam film, and it shows. I mean, it's got big action set pieces. It's a period drama. You have the whole, British Army and costumes and all of this going on. The bad guys are the upper caste Brahmins and how oppressive they are to the poor minorities. And then you have a really good antagonist played by Sonny Wayne, who I think I've seen in character parts in several other films, but maybe this was one of the bigger parts that I've seen him in. And he was a good antagonist against Nivin Pauly. I don't want to spoil it, but there was some incredible set pieces of setting up the action, especially one confrontation between Nivin Pauly and Sonny Wayne at a festival. When you see the film, you'll know what I mean. Like, I've never seen a fight set in that kind of setting. It was really something to see. Really inventive and really something to see. In the first half, an interesting romance with the character's name is Janaka, and it was played by, I think, Priya Anand. I'm going to have a little spoiler section in the end because I have a question. To me, probably a lot of the people seeing this movie already kind of know the story, but for me, I didn't know the story. And so there were some betrayals that happened towards the end where I felt like there was even though the film was almost 3 hours, like there was a scene that was missing that was kind of going to explain to me why these betrayals happened. It was kind of missing. So I'm going to discuss that at the end in a spoiler section because I need to ask some questions about that. One quibble is that there was sort of a gang of bandits, and we really didn't get to know those people at all. Nobody stood out. The character actors that were playing them didn't really stand out in any way. At the end, I was super happy that I was watching Nivin Pauly do such a rip-roaring adventure film and that Mohanlal was in it with him, being Mohanlal times 1,000. I mean, it was just awesome to see him in this period costume and kicking ass and just awesome. I really enjoyed it. It's not perfect, especially the second half. What happens with the love story, I didn't really get, but maybe they were going based on what historically happened in some way. I don't know. It just didn't. I felt like I said there was stuff that was just missing a little bit from the ending, where maybe they just assumed knowledge that I, as a foreigner who did not grow up in Kerala, reading all these adventure stories about this famous person, just didn't know. But it was fascinating to learn about this real person, and to me it was just as action-packed and exciting as any kind of Robin Hood or similar kind of Western kind of movie that I've seen, and really fun and something that you could take the whole family to see. So I enjoyed it. It was exciting to see, especially Nivin playing with Mohanlal. That was worth the ticket price right there. So if you've seen the film, okay, now I enjoyed it, encourage you to see it. Now we're going to get into a little spoiler section. I sort of understood there was several betrayals at the end, which sends him to be imprisoned and going to be hung. So we have, like, everybody betrays him. There was the upper caste guy who was promised political power or something. Okay, that's fine. I didn't need a further explanation. There was his gang that were paid off. And I did think it was odd, like when Mohanlal just kind of, here's my gang, now they're yours. Like, what had Nivin Pauly's character done to deserve them looking up to him as their leader? Like, there was a little bit missing there. And so I guess it wasn't a surprise that they could be bought by money. But they seemed very enthusiastic about helping the poor and whatever in the earlier scenes. So there was a little bit missing there in the script. Then his friend who thought he was saving him and that he would just go to jail. Okay, that was fine. I could sort of understand that. The one that I didn't get was Janaka. Like their whole storyline in the second half. Maybe it's based on reality, but it makes sense to me because why didn't he chase after her? Just because Mohanlal just said it wasn't worth it? Like she probably died? Was that it? And then at the end, Janaka like betrayed him because she said he was married. Okay, so this was something where I wasn't sure if the subtitles were screwed up, because when did we see Nivin Pauly's character get married? Like, when did that happen? In fact, there was a scene where they were talking about a wedding, and I thought he was marrying Janica, and then it didn't happen, and another action happened, and I kind of forgot until the scene where she lures him into the cell and he gets locked up, and then she says, I did this because I heard you got married. Like, I was like, where was the missing scene that kind of explained her motivation? I don't like that he didn't get angry with her. Like, there was just like a missing piece to the puzzle right there in that scene. And so if you know something else about the story or the real life tale or whatever that's kind of missing from that, that's, to me, was the flaw. Like, I didn't kind of have the emotional punch that scene I think it was supposed to have. Instead, I was left kind of going, huh? So that's not really what the filmmakers were probably going for, but they weren't really making the film for me. They were making it for a Kerala audience that probably is already familiar with the story. I don't know, but that was a flaw to me. Anyway, if you like this video review, please like and share it. Please do comment below if you've seen the film, what you thought about it, if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at PardesiYT. Subscribe here to the Pardesi channel, and if you hit the bell, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.